भृगीकृतं यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तग्वंह देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये. Dear devotees, we'll have a few minutes of Nam Sankirtan, and after that I'll conclude the explanation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ji's Shiksatak. Radhe Govind Govind Bol, Radhe Radhe Govind Bol. 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 Radhe Govind Govind Bol. Govind Bol. Radhe Govind 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 Bol. Radhe Govind Radhe Govind Govind Bol. Radhe Radhe Govind Bol. 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 Radhe Govind 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 Bol. Radhe Govind Radhe Govind Govind Bol. Radhe Radhe Govind Bol. 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 Radhe 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 Govind Bol. bol, Radhe Radhe Govind bol,
Radhe Govind Govind bol, Radhe Radhe Govind bol,
Radhe Govind 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 bol,
Radhe 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 Govind 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 bol,
Radhe Govind 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 bol,
Radhe Govind
Radhe
Radhe Govind Govind bol, Radhe Radhe Govind bol,
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 Radhe Govind Govind bol, Radhe Radhe Govind bol.
Bolo Ladli Lal ki. I've been explaining the meaning of Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji's 8 shlokas describing the deep devotional philosophy. We call it his Ashtapadi or his Shiksatak. There's a little bit of echo feedback. On the first evening, I touched on 2 shlokas. The first one had to do with humbleness before God, admitting our fallen state, and accepting that, knowing that God is not looking for any great qualities in us, just one quality, humbleness. The second one that I talked about explained to us the correct goal and how to aspire for that goal. That the correct goal is to desire selfless devotion for God. And while doing that, we shouldn't ask for anything from this world or even for liberation. We should only desire to love Shri Krishna selflessly and have confidence that He is ours. We belong to Him. So we have that eternal relationship. Yesterday I touched on 3 shlokas that relate to the divine name. In the first one, again, we learned about humbleness, but this time instead of humbleness before God, this one is even more difficult. Humbleness before God is one thing. It's okay, God is perfect. Who am I in front of Him? I can humble myself. But in the shlok we touched on last night, we had to learn about humbleness amongst people. And generally we all have the idea, myself included, that I am better than everyone else. That tends to be the way, that's like our default setting. I'm smarter than everybody, I'm better than everybody. So our default setting is not humbleness. We generally think of ourselves as being superior, and everyone else is inferior to us. So Mahaprabhuji explained that we should also feel ourselves to be even lower than anybody in this world. That's a devotional quality, having that kind of humbleness. It's not an inferiority complex. Don't confuse it with being depressed. It's simply a way of saying that, Krishna, I'm yours. All of these are your children. I'm also one of your children. I don't have to be better than anyone in your eyes. I just have to accept that I am fallen. Nobody is worse than me. The truth is we're all equally worst. We're all tied for the lead in that category. But those who accept it and admit it, they actually, well, that's a sign that they're progressing more quickly in their devotion. So he gave us a few pointers, like instead of demanding respect from other devotees, go out of your way to give respect. This is a practical thing that we can analyze in our mind. Do I have that attitude? If not, try to apply it. Try to live that way. It's not easy, but with practice, anything is possible. So he said, be more humble than a blade of grass that bends down when people step on it and doesn't grumble, and be more forbearing and forgiving than a tree whose fruit gets plundered, branches get broken, but it continues to provide shade and food for everybody. We should also try to develop these qualities of tolerance, forgiveness, and humbleness. Then Mahaprabhuji said, with these qualities as the foundation for your devotion, repeat Krishna's name all the time in your heart. Keep remembering his name 24 hours a day. But you'll notice that even though the name has the unlimited potential of Shri Krishna's power, because the name is synonymous with Shri Krishna, yet we're unable to experience much of the bliss of the name, if any at all. In the beginning, probably nothing. And as we progress, a little bit, but we're certainly not experiencing the ultimate bliss of the name. So I explained, according to Mahaprabhuji's shlok, that we've all developed a durdaiva. It means a bad destiny. Because in our previous lifetimes, we've polluted our heart with negative thinking about God, God's names, forms, abodes, divine saints, associates, God's leelas. Anytime we have a negative thought about one of these, it's called a spiritual transgression, and it pollutes our heart. It blocks our devotional receptivity, so that even though we're taking his divine name in our mind, in our heart, but there's something blocking us from experiencing the bliss. It's just like Krishna, 2 syllables. Why did nothing happen? Radha. Why did nothing happen? It's because there's some blockage. We should be able to say Radha in Krishna's name, and it should be an unlimited blissful experience. So, to remove that pollution in our heart, which is self-created through our own spiritual transgressions, there's only one workaround, because there's no way to redeem those through ordinary good actions. The only way to redeem those spiritual transgressions is by doing service to a true saint. This is why the opportunity to serve a saint or a saint's mission is one of the greatest opportunities that a soul could receive. The greatest opportunity a soul could receive. Because simply by humbly serving that saint, Krishna's grace through the saint, or you can say the saint's grace, enters our heart and transforms the situation in our heart. And we start to be able to experience the bliss of the name. Then singing the divine name starts to make us happy. That's not our doing. That's the grace of the saint, the true guru. Then, the third shlok I touched on yesterday indicated that the more we keep practicing devotion like this, with the grace of a saint, we can reach such a stage called bhav bhakti, where we start really experiencing the potential in the name. So someone may even have physical expressions we call sattvic bhav, like tears of joy or tears of longing for Krishna. Such a thrill in the body that the hairs stand on end, or there's a trembling, a melting of the heart. These are all signs. When you feel this, chanting Krishna's name and remembering his form, doing Rup Dhyan, this is a sign that we're progressing. So all of these things we can keep in mind, both as something to practice and also as an indicator for how far we've progressed. How humble am I truly inside? How much does that feeling of superiority remain? And how much have I started accepting my actual status, that I am no better than anyone else? I am the most fallen of the fallen. Just look inside yourself. Has that changed since you've been coming to Radha Madhav Dham? Since you've been following the path taught by Kripaluji Maharaj? Has that changed? Only you know, you and Maharaji know. None of us know. But you can analyze and see, yeah, I am a little bit more humble. At least now I realize how unhumble I am. That's a start. That's good. That's progress. How much has the need to get respect from others reduced? Even if it's a little bit, that's progress. That's great. How much do I experience when I chant Krishna's name? Is there any feeling? Maybe now there's at least a little bit of feeling, and in the beginning there wasn't anything, or the feeling is growing. These are all indicators that you're on the right path and you're progressing in the right direction with the guidance and grace of a true saint. So today, I'll briefly look at the last 3 shlokas that are left out. In one of them, Mahaprabhuji tells more about selfless love for Krishna and how close that brings you to him. Ashlishya va padaratam pinashtuma madarshanan marmahatang karotu va yatha tatha va vidadhatu lampato mat prananathastu saiva na parah. Here Mahaprabhuji is speaking in the words of a gopi to Shri Krishna. So this devotee of Shri Krishna is saying that there are only 3 ways in which you could treat me. You could treat me in what normal people would say a positive way. Give your affection to me. Ashlishya, you can embrace me. Or you could rebuke me. Look at me with an angry face. Tell me to get out. That's the opposite, what someone would call a negative interaction. Or you could be totally neutral, like udas, like you don't even know me. Just ignore me altogether. These are the 3 ways that you could behave with me. Either express your affection for me. You could treat me with anger and send me away, or you could ignore me altogether. This gopi says, no matter which of these 3 ways you choose to behave with me, my love for you will not change. But actually it will go on increasing. My love will not increase more if you hug me, and less if you tell me to get lost. No matter how you interact with me, my love will go on growing. This is a very deep and subtle devotional sentiment. It's hard for us to understand because there is nobody that you would allow to treat you that way in this world. But in devotion, first of all, we don't have to worry about Krishna ever doing anything wrong. He is perfect and he is our perfect divine beloved. But our approach from our side could be this type of approach. I love Krishna because he's always nice to me. Or I love Krishna because he's going to give me whatever I want. So there's a type of selfishness. Kripaluji Maharaj often quoted this shlok of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ji to explain to us that with both Radha Krishna and Guru, we have to have this attitude that, even if Guruji doesn't look at me. See, some people would say, for instance, let's say Maharajji was here and he's walking around the hall, which he used to do. He would come in the satsang during kirtan. He would walk around, look at some people, not look at others. So can you tell how much affection Guruji has for you by whether he's looking at you or not looking at you? In the world, we think yes. Yes. If I'm getting your attention, that shows you love me more. It doesn't work that way with divine personalities. It doesn't work that way with Krishna. It didn't work that way with Shri Maharajji. He may go down the line walking, looking at every person in turn, and when he gets to you, he looks the other way. So Maharajji says, when that happens, you should say, Wah, wah, dekho, leela dhari ka pyar. He loves me, but he's hiding his love from me. That's also one style of love, right? You don't show it, you hide it, even from the person that you love. So Guruji loves me, but he's looking the other way. A real devotee, a strong devotee, needs to develop this attitude that I'm not looking for validation or confirmation from your behavior that you love me. I know you love me because you have to love me. It's God's law. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tas tathaiva bhajamyaham. Krishna has laid down this law in the Gita when he said, however you love me, in whatever way you love me, however much you love me, I love you the same way and the same amount in return. If a devotee has faith in that statement, then we know however much we love Krishna, he loves us at least that much and probably more. However much affection in our heart we have for Guruji, he has to have that much affection for us. He doesn't even have a choice, bichare. In this world, at least we have a choice who we love and who we don't love. God and Guru don't have a choice. Whoever attaches their mind to them, that automatically induces a flow of attention towards that soul from the mind of God and Guru. So how much do they love us? Ask yourself, how much do you love them? That's why Mahaprabhu ji is saying, I give you a challenge. You rebuke me, you ignore me, or you embrace me. In any of these cases, my love for you is only going to go on growing because I'm not such a foolish devotee who needs that confirmation that you love me. I know you love me because you have to love me, because I love you. So you treat me anyway, and my love will go on growing. You do what makes you happy. Because mat prananathas tusa eva na paraha. Only you are mine. Where else am I going to go? If a mother scolds her little child because he or she did something wrong, then the child gets upset and cries. And where does he run? Into the lap of his mother, the same one who made him cry. Because where else is he going to go? He doesn't know anybody else. Only she is his. Ek bharoso, ek bal, ek aas vishwas. Tulsidas ji says, you are my everything. You are my only hope. You are my strength. You are my only refuge. There is no one else. So when Shri Krishna alone is ours, where else will we go? He alone is our Lord. He alone is our beloved. So whether he gives us something good in this world or we get some disappointments in the world, we should never look at that as Krishna is favoring me or he's unfavorable towards me. We should either say this is all his grace, or we can challenge him and we can say, you can give me as much suffering as you want, but my love for you is not going to decrease. How many people are confident enough to say that? Are confident enough in their relationship with Shri Krishna not to get disheartened. Oh, this bad thing happened to me. God doesn't love me anymore. Yeah, sometimes some really bad things happen in people's lives, and then they feel that God doesn't love them. So it means that person hasn't adopted this philosophy. They're not ready for that challenge. However you treat me, show your affection, rebuke me, ignore me, my love for you will only go on increasing. So that's true with our love for Radha Krishna, whom we can't directly see right now yet. And it's true for our relationship with Guruji as well. Those who had the chance to interact with Kripaluji Maharaj, that was an important part of our devotion, to maintain that selfless attitude, not always thinking that Maharaji should throw the mala to me. Oh, he threw a really nice mala to this devotee. I got a mala with really little beads. He got one with big beads and more colors. So overcoming that type of selfish attitude is a really important part of devotion. And then a devotee will progress much more quickly if they challenge themselves to adopt this attitude. So if we do that, with the grace of the Guru, our heart can purify to the point that we actually start to feel longing to meet Shri Krishna, just like you long to meet someone that you love in this world. A real feeling that you want to be with them. This is called viraha. Yugaitam nimeshena chakshusha pravrishaitam shunyaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahena me. Mahaprabhu ji says, you'll reach such a level of longing which is extreme. When you reach this level, then you know you're very close to God realization. Where you feel that a nimesh, a very short period of time, like a fraction of a second, feels like a yug. Why? Because you're separated from Krishna. When you're waiting for something, you know how the time seems to last a lot longer? Like when the kids are counting down until their summer vacation, they're counting down the days. And it just seems like time goes slower and slower and slower. Those last few weeks of school take forever. But during the summer vacation, when you don't want the time to go fast, then the time goes really fast, and before you know it, school starts again. So when we're waiting for Krishna, the time feels like it slows down. When will he come? When will he come? So Mahaprabhu ji is saying, as your intensity of longing grows, the feeling of time keeps expanding, so that even a second without Krishna feels like a yug, hundreds of thousands of years. That is the indication that your heart is very pure and you're very close to meeting Shri Krishna. There was one saint who demonstrated the level of desire that's required. The disciple asked his Guruji, Guruji, when will I meet God? Guruji said, not now, I'll tell you later. Right now I have to go have my bath in the river. So the disciple accompanied Guruji down to the river, and Guruji went out in the water up till here. The disciple came with him. Guruji said, come here. He took his head and held him under the water. And at first the disciple was just thinking, okay, his Guruji, what can I do? You know, I'm not going to fight against him. He must be trying to teach me something. He'll let me up soon. But he kept holding him under, and his breath was running out. And even then he kept holding him under. And then he thought, okay, I'm about to lose consciousness. He was struggling, but he didn't have enough strength left. And just when he felt that now it's over, Guruji pulled him up from the water. And he desperately gulped down not water, but air, trying to get air into his lungs. So once he had recovered, Guruji said, how much, you know the feeling you had, how much you needed that breath of air? You were so desperate for it, you couldn't live without it? Guruji told him, when you're that desperate to meet Shri Krishna, he will come to you. That's the extent of the longing that we need. That devotee, at that time, do you think he was thinking about, oh, I wonder what's going to be for dinner? I really like that rasgulla that I ate yesterday. Oh, I like meeting that friend. Everything else faded away. There was only one thing that mattered to him. So Mahaprabhuji says, Shunyayitam jagat sarvam govinda virahena me. When a person reaches that height of longing, they have a singular focus. The whole, everything, there's nothing that can attract their mind. There's only one thing they want, Shri Krishna. None of us are at that level yet, but we can also, again, analyze ourselves. From the time I started devotion, from the time I started coming to Radha Madhav Dham or following the path taught by Kripaluji Maharaj, has my longing increased? I'm not at that level, but has it increased? That's all that matters. Don't worry about how long is it going to take you to get to that level. Just understand that I've taken at least 1 or 2 steps from where I was. In the beginning, I didn't even think of meeting Krishna. And then I thought about it, but I didn't think it was that realistic. At least now I think it's realistic, and there's some feeling in my heart of a longing to meet him. That keeps growing, and it grows, and that fire of separation purifies the heart quickly, and eventually you will reach that state of intense longing for Shri Krishna, where even a second without him feels like millions of years. That is when Krishna will come to you. And finally, Mahaprabhuji describes in this shlok the different stages of devotion. Cheto darpanam arjanam bhavamaha davagni nirvapanam shreya kairav chandrika vitaranam vidyavadhu jivanam Anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnamrita svadanam sarvatmasnapanam param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. He says that Shri Krishna's name, the chanting of his name, which of course doesn't mean just verbal chanting, but chanting the name while thinking of whose name it is. So remembering Krishna and chanting his name is such an effective sadhana that there's nothing comparable to it. There is no other spiritual practice that can compare with the chanting of Shri Krishna's name. It's so powerful that if you are on the correct path with the correct guidance and a true guru, this is what happens. Initially, Cheto Darparnamarjanam. He refers to our heart as a mirror, and the mirror is dirty, just has a lot of filth plastered on there. Chanting Shri Krishna's name starts cleaning off the mirror. The heart starts to purify. The next stage in bhakti, Davagni. There's a big wildfire burning inside your heart. It's the fire of material desires, and it stresses us out, it agitates us, it burns our heart. So these material desires and even the experience of material pleasure, it doesn't pacify our heart. No, it agitates our heart. So as the devotee progresses in bhakti, that fire of agitation of the material desires starts to subside. In the third stage described by Mahaprabhu ji, he says, Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. There is a lotus called Kumudini. It blooms in the cool nectar-like light of the moon. It doesn't bloom in the burning hot light of the sun. In other words, the feeling of peace, belonging, security, satisfaction, that doesn't come from the worldly desires and the worldly pleasures. That's more like the sun. The lotus stays shriveled up, closed up, this kumudini, this night blooming lotus. But in the cool light of Shri Krishna's bhakti, in the cool light of the bliss of Krishna's name, this kumudini, which we call our heart, that starts to bloom. It blossoms in that nectar-like cooling light of Shri Krishna's name, which is being called the moon in this case. The fourth stage, Vidya Vadhu. So, true knowledge. You have aparavidya, that means knowledge of material things, of kshar things, temporary material things. Then you have paravidya, the knowledge of akshar. Akshar Brahm means Shri Krishna. All the theory that we find in Vedas, Upanishads, Darshan Shastras, Gita, all of the theory of what is God, who am I, what is the soul, how is soul related to God, all of that theory actually gets replaced by experience. Simply by chanting Shri Krishna's name, you start actually experiencing the fact that you are a divine soul and you are eternally related to Shri Krishna. It becomes real for you. It's not just theory anymore. Now, everything so far in the first 7 shlokas that I explained to you, it was all pretty practical and something you could imagine. If not imagine the ultimate height of the things he was describing, we could understand the through our own limited experience, a little bit of what he was talking about. But in this shlok, much of what's described is beyond my experience and beyond my understanding, but I'm telling you how Sri Maharaj Ji has described it, because these are very advanced states. So first, the heart starts to purify. The mirror of the heart starts to purify. Secondly, the wildfire of material desires that always agitate and burn our heart starts to go out. Number 3, the heart starts to blossom in the light of the full moon, which is Shri Krishna's name. Number 4, the knowledge of soul and God and that relationship becomes real, not just a theoretical idea. The 3 states beyond this, stages in the path of bhakti, stages 5, 6, and 7 described in this shlok, are divine states. It's, the ultimate end of the path. So it's not something that I've personally experienced, but Mahaprabhuji described it, and Maharaji has also briefly explained it. So accordingly, I'll just briefly tell you. He talks about Anand. Just like you experience the knowledge, it becomes real. So you actually experience the bliss of Krishna's name. It's a real thing. You feel that ras. And in step number 6, it becomes like Purnamrit. The full experience. Maharaji said this much, that even as compared to a Brahmagyani who has attained formless God, Brahmanand, that's not, see, Anandam buddhi vardhanam pratipadam purnamrita swadanam. So first of all, that Anand is vardhanam. It's always increasing. And second of all, purnamrita swadanam. Aswadanam. You're drinking in the ras of Krishna's name, which is the Purnamrit. It's the full and total, complete experience of the divine bliss. The Jnani who's attained Nirakar Brahm he has a partial experience of the divine bliss because he's only experienced God in his formless aspect. He hasn't experienced the beauty and the love of Radha Krishna. Maharaji even says the yogi who worships Paramatma, which is Vishnu of our Brahmand, Kshirodashai Vishnu, Tritiya Purushavatar, for those who've heard that explanation, Vishnu of our Brahman is the form of Paramatma who sits in everyone's heart and notes our actions and gives the consequences. Yogis worship Paramatma, that Vishnu of our Brahman. So that is also not the total experience of the full potential of the ras of Radha Krishna. So they also have a partial experience. But Purnamrita Swadanam, Pratipadam, in every step of your life, now you are completely absorbed in that complete experience of the divine bliss, of the divine ras of Radha Krishna. And finally, Sarvatmasnapanam. You meet Shri Krishna and you become perfectly happy forever. So these are the states as they're described, divine, the highest devotional states, and finally the divine attainment. These are things for us to look forward to. But the other shloks, what I was describing, those are more practical things we can apply, we can practice on a daily basis, and we can keep looking inside ourselves to see How much humbleness do I have? How much respect do I have for others? How much has my experience of the divine name grown? How much selflessness do I have in my love for God and Guru? These are things we can work on, and we can also track our progress by seeing how we improve. And eventually we'll be able to experience and understand all 7 of these stages in the path of bhakti as described in the last shlok of the Shiksatak. Boliye Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki. We'll finish with a few minutes of Nam Sankirtan. So we can all do Rup Dhyan and try to squeeze out the most ras possible from these few minutes that we have to chant Shri Krishna's name. Radhe Govind Govind Radhe Radhe Govind Govind Radhe
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 Radhe Radhe
Radhe Radhe
Radhe Radhe
Radhe Radhe
Radhe Govind Govind Radhe Radhe Govind Govind 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 Radhe
Radhe Radhe
Radhe Radhe
Radhe Radhe राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे
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 राधे राधे
राधे राधे
राधे राधे
राधे राधे
राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद 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 राधे
राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद 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 राधे
राधे Radhe Govind Govind Radhe.
Radhe Govind Govind Radhe. Radhe Govind Govind Radhe.
Bolo Shyama Shyam ki. So that concludes our Holi intensive for this year. We'll be having a few announcements now, and after that we'll have the Arti. After the Arti, once you receive Prasad, if anyone has more questions, just before my lecture I was sitting in Maharaji's sitting room and answering a few questions about Shri Maharaji and the path of devotion. So if anyone has more questions, we can sit in there. It's a nice quiet place. And before we go to lunch, we can spend a few minutes if you'd like. And I just want to acknowledge, some of you might not know, we have many devotees who came from Dallas for this weekend. And it was really nice to have them here. Of course, I'm sure you all figured out those were the naughty people who attacked me yesterday. So it was very nice they came down in 3 buses after celebrating Holi in our center in Dallas, Radha Govinda Dham, Dallas. All the volunteers, these are actually all volunteers. We have a very vibrant center in Dallas with a lot of visitors, a lot of devotees, a lot of new people getting interested and involved. So these are all the volunteers actually. How many people came? 132 volunteers from the Dallas Center came. So it makes us all feel very good to see you here, to come and share your enthusiasm here at Radha Madhav Dham as well. So it was very nice to have you here. Yes? Sanjeev Bhaiya is saying he was requesting some of the volunteers to stay back here in Austin. Don't go back to Dallas. So it was really nice having you here, and I'll be joining you in Dallas in a few days. We're having a spring break Gita class at Radha Govind Dham, Dallas. So I'll be in Dallas for about 10 days, and I'll be visiting all of you then. So again, if any of you have questions, I can meet you in the sitting room after the Arti.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Bhai.